Alright, it's September of 1993 and SEGA of Japan just dropped Sonic CD. So, they take it over to SEGA of America to see if they're ready to drop. Yo, check this out, we got Sonic CD ready, we just dropped it, and everyone is fucking with it, man. Y'all ready to drop this shit? We fucks with it for real, man, this shit is heat. There's really only one thing we don't like though. What? The music. Not gonna lie, this shit is ass. Are you fucking kidding me? Nah, we dead ass, bruh. We don't think this music gonna resonate with our American audience. It's got too much New Jack swing, techno, and house. Nigga, didn't house music come from Chicago? That ain't the point. We gonna have to do something about this. We? Nigga, who's we? Y'all gonna have to do something about that. That's y'all problem. We don't even know why y'all tripping. The Europeans fuck with the music. Not gonna lie, fam. This is bloody nice. See? Listen. Y'all can change the soundtrack if y'all want, but the game better be out by November. Otherwise, we're not importing any more hentai into your country. Ah, shit. So, SEGA of America called on a young guy by the name of Spencer Nilsson. They figured he could replace Sonic CD's Japanese soundtrack with some fresh new tunes in a couple months. I mean, shit, he just got done making some crazy ass whale music for Echo the Dolphin a year ago. Spencer Nilsson agreed, and the synthesizer enthusiast went on to recruit his colleagues, co-composer David Young, guitarist Mark Crew, and female vocalist group Prestige to create a soundtrack for the US release of Sonic CD.
Alright, as I was editing and doing research for this video, I found out that Mark Crew was actually a former keyboardist for the band Santana, and he went by Sterling Crew. Like, bruh, dude, that's so fucking awesome. Little did these niggas know that this soundtrack will go on to create one of the largest and longest ongoing debates in the Sonic community. Yo, what's Gucci, what's poppin', is your main man ScrewStache, and check me out. After a long ass time, I'm back with another soundtrack review. Y'all love the Sonic CD Japanese soundtrack review, so you already know I had to come in and, you know, review its counterpart, Sonic CD US's soundtrack. And listen, if you think this is going to be one of those videos where it's just me shitting on the US soundtrack the whole time, you can just click off the video right now, my nigga, because it's not going to be that at all. Ever since I've been on this platform talking about the Sonic CD soundtracks, I've always been one to praise the Sonic CD US soundtrack, and shit isn't going to be different here, bruh. So if you're looking for some Sonic CD US soundtrack hate, you came to the wrong place. Now, it's a pretty known fact that the Sonic CD US soundtrack isn't really favored in the Sonic community, and I think the reason why is largely due to the fact that most of you niggas probably never even listened to the soundtrack before. I mean, cause you gotta think about it. If you watch YouTube videos and read articles online about this soundtrack, and all you hear is just people hating on it and bashing on it, you're most likely not going to listen to it. If you are one of those Sonic CD US soundtrack haters, or you just haven't heard any of this soundtrack, I guarantee you, if you were to just sit down and listen to it, you will find at least one track that you like. In this video, I aim to highlight most of the good shit in the Sonic CD US soundtrack to put, you know, just so I can put some people hip to it, man, because I'm telling y'all missing out on some good music, real shit. Now, if you're a real nigga like myself and an avid listener of the Sonic CD US soundtrack, let me know down in the comment below what's your favorite song from that OST. For me, it's kind of a mix between Wacky Worckbench Present and Stardust Speedway Good Future. Now, what's different about the US soundtrack? What makes it stand out from the Japanese soundtrack? Well, SEGA of America wanted to ditch the whole techno house theme of the soundtrack and go for a more jazz rock approach, so it can resonate more with American audiences. I swear that is the dumbest fucking reason why they replaced the soundtrack, but I'm not even gonna lie, I'm not even mad because they gave us two fire-ass soundtracks. That's still a dumbass reason though. The sound selection for the US soundtrack is completely different. Unlike the Japanese soundtrack, which uses Roland TR 808 and 909 samples for most of the drum tracks, the US soundtrack uses an Alesis SR16 throughout almost the entire soundtrack for its drums. To most of you, this may not seem all that important, and to be honest, it really isn't, but real ones know how legendary this little drum machine is, man. It used to be in plenty of video games and anime shows back in the day, like Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, those are like really the only two I know, but I know it was used in hella soundtracks for sure. What I really like about Sonic CD's US OST is that it put more of an emphasis on live recordings. There's crazy amounts of live percussion instruments, fire ass guitar licks, and all the hi-hats and cymbals are live recordings, which is actually really cool. And you can't forget about those beautiful jazzy vocals from the female vocal group Prestige. Little fun fact, you feel me? Did you know Prestige toured with my favorite jazz fusion band of all time, Cassiopeia, during their European tour in 1983? I know that has nothing to do with fucking Sonic, but I just had to say it, bruh. Alright, let's talk about the first song you hear when you boot up the game, Sonic Boom.
Sonic Boom is without a doubt one of the most iconic Sonic the Hedgehog themes ever. Just like Japanese Sonic CDs, You Can Do Anything, Sonic Boom can give this perfect idea of how the rest of the soundtrack is going to sound. You got those crazy powerful SR16 drums gunning, you got some abstract synthesizers carrying the melody, and you got that crazy ass guitar taking the song into overdrive. You Can Do Anything has guitar in it too, but it doesn't hit nearly as hard as Sonic Boom's guitar. I mean, it hits, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, something about Sonic Boom's guitar is just like crazy, bro. And you can't forget the smooth, beautiful singing from the ladies in Pastiche. This song is so goated that it got an official Crush 40 remix. Yeah, You Can Do Anything got a few remixes too, but not by Crush 40, baby. Technically, You Can Do Anything is a remix itself, because the song dates back to Sonic 2's 8-bit days, which came out like the year prior to Sonic CD. Anyway, Sonic Boom is all original, baby. That's what makes this song so goated.
Now, for anyone who's hearing the US soundtrack for the first time, and I doubt that's the case if you're watching this video, but if that happens to be the case, this is gonna sound weird, but the US version of Palmtree Panic, it has the same exact vibe as the Japanese version, but a completely different one at the same time. Both versions have like the same exact instrumentation. They both have lots of Latin percussion, a brass section, even a lead instrument, except the US version features some nice warm acoustic guitar in the background, you feel me? But the US version of Palmtree Panic is significantly slower in tempo and is way more laid back. The Japanese version sounds like a whole ass party or some shit, where the US version sounds like Sonic's just going on a safari. I don't know about y'all, but I'm all for it. I really like the US version of Palmtree Panic present. It's groovy in its own regard, and I think it fits the scenery, honestly. I really love the acoustic guitar solo in this song too. That shit is so clean. You notice throughout the soundtrack that Mark Crew really shows up and shows out for real with his guitar licks. The Good and Bad Future versions sound almost exactly alike. The Bad Future version is pretty much a minor version of the Good Future. I remember when I was back in like 8th grade, this is when I was really starting to get into the US version of the Sonic CD soundtrack. I had a substitute teacher in my computer class, and it was some Nigerian dude. And every time he walked in, bruh, I would start blasting Palmtree Panic Good Future because of those tribal vocals. We had this substitute teacher for like 3 days too, bruh, and I did this every single day. I literally harassed a middle-aged Nigerian dude with the Sonic CD US soundtrack. The Bad Future version also has these tribal vocals, but they're nowhere near as uplifting as the Good Future versions. They're actually depressing, bruh. Like, listen to the difference. Now, one thing about the US Bad Future tracks is that they're genuinely depressing. Like, the Japanese Bad Future Sonic CD is alright. They let you know that you fucked up, but hey, at least you still get some groovy music to dance to. Bad Future US Sonic CD makes you feel like you failed at life, nigga. Like, you notice that that's a reoccurring theme in the US Sonic CD soundtrack. Except for Wacky Workbench. That's a whole nother thing that we gotta talk about later. Moving on to Collision Chaos. The music for Collision Chaos was done by bass player Bobby Vega, guitarist Mark Crew, but for some reason he goes by Sterling in the credits, and legendary percussionist the late Armando Peraza. Collision Chaos is probably one of the most controversial songs in the US OST besides the boss theme. I will say that the song doesn't really fit the stage well. To be honest, it doesn't even sound like it belongs in a Sonic game. It sounds like something you would hear in like Metroid or some shit. The song itself isn't that bad though. It's actually pretty badass prog rock. My man Bobby was going crazy with that slap bass. Armando was doing his thing on the bongos, and Mark Crew, you know, he had his weird effect, like that weird reverse guitar effect, but he was low-key making it slap too. I think he had like one of those volume pedals too. The Good Future theme is kind of like this weird major rock thing going. It's pretty identical to the present version, and it seems the song just lacks some type of structure or anything like that. Like, it sounds like they just, you know, improvised the entire thing, you know what I'm saying? To be honest, the US Good Future version of Collision Chaos, you know, it just really isn't that spectacular to me. The Bad Future, on the other hand, is a track I can halfway wrap my head around for real. I don't know, I guess because the minor chords and the structure of the Bad Future theme just fits so much better with the genre than the major structure of the Good Future theme. Plus the guitar bass combo just hits so much different, bro. Just listen. Tidal Tempest US has some similarities to Tidal Tempest Japan, like the swing groove and the Moog bass, but the US version takes more of a shallow, less ambient approach, and I'm all for it. I love the use of acoustic guitar in the song, and the pastiche vocals, they go crazy here, man. The song even gets a little bit sassy in the midsection, you know? Them niggas, they wasn't playing at all, man. Tidal Tempest Good Future is probably one of the most epic and gangster Good Future tracks in the Sonic CD US soundtrack. It really portrays that futuristic underwater tempo vibe perfectly, where the Japanese version, on the other hand, is pretty chill, but it doesn't really put a lot of emphasis on the technological side of things. This is one of the few examples where I'd say the US soundtrack outshines the Japanese soundtrack, and I'm not just saying that because of this epic ass guitar solo too. Tidal Tempest Bad Future is a whole nother vibe on its own. The vibe is really ambient and dark. It's really what Sonic Mania's Lava Reef Act 2 will become in the future. Basically really good background music for an 80s porno. Like bruh, you can even hear the pastiche girls doing 90s ASMR all up in the mic. These niggas know what they were doing, man. They was ahead of the curve for real. Spencer Nilsson must have thought it was real funny when he made some straight up rock music for Quartz Quadrant. At least the music is sick though. There's nothing like an unusual time signature paired with some blazing guitars and some drums that smack and pop harder than some Rice Krispie treats. Not gonna lie, this is one of the examples where they were spamming the vocals too much, bruh, cause what the fuck is this? I'm not saying it sounds bad, but these niggas is not even saying nothing for real. They just blurting out shit at this point. Quartz Quadrant Good Future gives off this grandiose ancient garden sound, completely opposite of what the Japanese version was going for. Not gonna lie, I love it. And the Bad Future version is literally just a minor clone of the Good Future version, not gonna lie. Both future versions feature those hard-hitting pop drums from the Elise's SR16. That clap snare would end up having a chokehold on the Sonic community after T-Lopes used it in Titanic Monarch Zone Act 1. Wacky Workbench straight up sounds like some 80s talk show music, but it's absolutely insane. I'm just gonna say off the bat, Wacky Workbench US clears the Japanese version. Even though the music is completely different, you can kind of hear the Japanese version coming, if you know what I mean. The US version, 9 times out of 10, is really gonna catch a first time listener off guard. Most definitely those drums are straight heat. That SR16 goes crazy in this song. Remember what I said in Quartz Quadrant that pastiche were just blurting out anything? Bruh, at this point in the soundtrack, they don't give no fucks whatsoever, man. They're just straight up saying anything at this point. At least the vocals are groovy and it goes with the song, you feel me? Don't even get me started on Wacky Workbench future themes. The Good Future is an upbeat ambient rock song with hella industrial whooshes and clanks and shit like that. It lacks a real melody, but it's hella vibey, so it doesn't even matter. And something about that "here we go" sample just hits different when the song transitions. The Bad Future, on the other hand, Spencer and his niggas quadrupled down on the funk, and Mark Crew, my niggas, was just showing off on the guitar. He was carrying down the rhythm, and then when the song breaks down, his solo kicks in, and just listen, man. The US sound team took an interesting approach for Stardust Speedway. Instead of going with some funk flashy upbeat tunes to match the bright brass roads of Stardust Speedway, they decided to go with some smooth, fast-paced, almost like synthwave type shit, you feel me? This shit low-key like regular show music for real. Bro, there's even niggas doing drum covers on it. Look at this dude. You seen that hi-hat? This nigga's the real deal. Stardust Speedway Good Future is another one of my favorites from the US soundtrack. It sounds like a generic ass rock song in the beginning, right? But it starts hitting, you feel me? It gives off this vibe like you're Lightning McQueen and you dustin' niggas in a Piston Cup series. Personally, for me, the second part of the song is the part that really hits different for me. This part of the song gives off the vibe of like, good job, you made it, you did that shit, you feel me?
I feel like Stardust Speedway Bad Future takes elements from both the present and the Good Future versions of Stardust Speedway, specifically the colors of the present version and the instrumentation of the Good Future version. Now, when I say colors, y'all probably like, what the fuck is this dude talking about? I'll tell you. I know I'm not the only one who sees colors while listening to music. Like, I feel like both Stardust Speedway Bad Future and Stardust Speedway Present both have a yellow and orange color to them. That probably sounds crazy as fuck. Not gonna lie, Stardust Speedway US version is probably some of the most underrated music you'll hear on the soundtrack. Come on, man, you know a Sonic song sounds good when it gets remixed time and time again years later. Once again, the music for Metallic Madness was made by Bobby Vega, Mark Crew, and Armando Peraza. This is probably some of the most unorthodox music you'll hear in the soundtrack. There isn't even like a drum beat going on. There's just a bunch of zips and zaps and shit. And then of course you got Bongo Man going crazy on the bongos. Instead of upbeat heavy techno playing in the back, you have a more worldly down tempo feel to it. It low-key sounds like Metroid music, no cap. Not gonna lie, the Good Future version of the track is kinda lame. I hate to say it too, cause it's like the only song in the entire soundtrack where I can imagine someone listening to this and going, okay, what the fuck is this? It's literally just a sped up loop of the present version with a little bit of bongos and a loud ass snap. They low-key on the Xavier So bass shit, bruh. It's crazy too, cause the Bad Future, on the other hand, goes absolutely stupendous. While the Japanese version gives off this vibe of, you know you fucked up Sonic, there ain't no going back, but hey, at least you can vibe though, nigga, we gon' dance. The US version is on some whole other shit, bruh. It's on like, oh my god, bro, you Sonic, you still have a chance. You can save the world. You can save Little Planet, bro. They on like some orchestral shit low key. Mark Crew, I really like Mark Crew's guitar on this too. Like he be making that bitch talk for real. Like he be, you know, he be making it screech and it sounds amazing. Now, for some weird reason, I don't recall there being a final boss theme. I think the final boss literally was just the creepy ass boss theme from the US version. There is no dedicated final boss theme, which kind of sucks, but maybe, you know, they didn't have enough time to do one or they just didn't think about it. The Sonic Boom outro is kind of cool. It's kind of like, you know, like it's kind of like a slowed down, more acoustic remix of the intro. It's vibey for real. You know, I don't know if that's a 12-string guitar. They got the 12-string guitar in the background just like carrying the chords. It's amazing. Overall though, I would say the Sonic CD US soundtrack is a pretty solid soundtrack given that it was made in like what, 3 months. What I really like about it is that it's really unique. It has some really unique textures to it that you can't, you know, it's really hard to recreate. Like with the Japanese soundtrack, it had that too, but niggas are low-key starting to dissect it and find out the sounds, and they're starting to like, you know, like recreate these songs perfectly. But with the US soundtrack, I don't think that's ever going to be the case because Spencer Nilsson was low-key like a synthesis genius. Like this nigga was all about making his own sounds and shit like that. Like for the Echo the Dolphin soundtrack, he literally made all of those sounds. Like he made custom sounds like for the soundtrack. Like there wasn't no presets or patches that he used. Like he made all that shit. So most likely he did a little bit of synthesis and, you know, synthesizer patch making for Sonic CD's US soundtrack as well. Now, if I were to say which one was better, the Sonic CD US or the Sonic CD Japanese soundtrack, honestly, I couldn't tell you because both of them are actually solid. What I would tell you though is that if you haven't heard the US soundtrack, please go take a listen right now, bro. You're actually missing out, real shit. But yeah, that was my review on the Sonic CD US soundtrack. If you enjoy hearing me ramble about the Sonic CD US soundtrack for the past 30 minutes, make sure to give the video a thumbs up. If you didn't, leave a thumbs down. And let me know down in the comments below what's your favorite song in the Sonic CD US soundtrack. I'm not even gonna say what mine is, cause like everyone is, you feel me? Also, if you watched this video all the way through, you're a GOAT. I'd like you to let me know down in the comments below what soundtrack I should do a review on next. I was low-key thinking of doing like Sonic 3 and Knuckles or Sonic Mania, but I'm gonna let y'all decide, you feel me? I'm gonna let y'all decide. In the meantime, follow my social medias if you haven't already. TikTok, Instagram, SoundCloud, Twitter, all that good stuff. If you don't know, I make music and shit like that too, so check me out on Spotify and iTunes if you haven't already. And stay tuned because your boy has a Dreamcast EP coming out later this month. And also, if you rap and need beats, check out my Beat Stars, you know, buy a couple beats, you feel me? You know, they're fire, man. I make some fire beats. Listen to this one. That shit was fire, wasn't it? Anyway, bye.